Hi everyone and welcome to your daily oracle guidance. Today's cards may not really resonate with everyone because I get the feeling that this speaks to a couple of people who are navigating and actually doing a very good job on the main astrological theme of this present moment, which is just digging deep within us and filtering out our personal illusions from the inner truth. And today's topic may be about the karmic implications of friendships, of soul connections, of allies, of you being part of a community, because this is something you have been missing and also desiring at the same time, so you feel as though this is something left unfinished and this is something that you still have to accomplish one way or another in this timeline. And this is why the challenge position is taken by the Six of Water, which is exactly the card of friendships, of interhuman connections, of very deep soul level connections with another person, which ultimately makes us feel that less alone in the world. Of course, it also contains very important elements which influence our life stories, because ultimately other people in our lives are mirrors, are influencers, are karmic forces themselves which shape and form our stories. Very many times external people, other people, our friends, our close connections are the external influences which, bring main karmic themes in our lives. So it is no surprise that some of us are actually looking for this or trying our very, very best to understand this area of our lives. But since this is in the challenge position, that ultimately involves that the shadow expression of this card has much more relevance than anything else. Now, the shadow expression of a water card is definitely a little bit of naivety, a little bit of illusion, a little bit of personal idealism. So it represents that the very utopic, that very idealistic image that you have in your mind. That, for example, just as the graphic depiction of the cards shows us, that you are going to be part of a circle of friends, you're going to be part of a community where everyone is going to be so open and appreciative to you, and it is going to be perfectly mutual, and you're going to be living in perfect harmony with them. Now, that may not be real, that may not be how your destiny, your karma has to unfold, because, of course, this is a very beautiful, a very healthy desire, because ultimately, as human beings, we need this. As human beings, this is part of our lives because we are social creatures. We are designed by nature to be part of a collective, to be part of a group, and we are not the only ones. For example, ants, bees, and other insects which live in colonies, well, they wouldn't be relevant individually in nature, in the system that is nature. They just couldn't survive on their own. And just like them, we people, we human beings, are pretty much the same, because one way or another, we need another consciousness, we need another living, breathing being to be there with us. But from a human perspective, this is absolutely true, but it might not be that much true from a spiritual perspective, because each and every soul comes here with a totally distinct and unique configuration, and this interhuman connection might not be part of everyone's destiny and journey equally. For some people, this can have a totally different expression, which is not that much concentrated, which isn't that much more emphasized. And when it's not emphasized, then, we can perceive this as something we're missing, as dissatisfaction, as an area of our lives which is so empty, so not very stable, and it can, produce sadness, melancholy, dissatisfaction, frustration, and it's absolutely normal from a human perspective. But this is where spiritually and karmically, especially if you are a person who is aware of all of this, has to ask the question, why is it this way? Why is your life pretty much empty from deep soul level connections? Well, one of the answers, one of the reasons is because you're very, very evolved spiritually, your perceptions are wide open, you're basically operating on the highest possible frequencies, and it doesn't really matter that you're not aware of this. It doesn't really matter that your sense of spiritual self-worth, if this is a notion that I can actually use here, it doesn't matter if that spiritual sense of self-worth isn't, very in tune with reality. It doesn't matter that you don't know and you're not aware of how unique and powerful you are. You have no idea that you operate on the highest genius levels. It's absolutely fine, but it's still a constant. It is still who you are, and chances are, even if you don't like to see yourself, in such an elevated way, this is a truth that you have to accept. And if you accept this truth, if you know that you are like a visionary, like a genius, and there's not a single living soul who can compare himself to you, well, then you can already see why your social connections, why your deep soul connections, your spiritual connections are not very profound, are not very strong, because when you're the outsider, when you just see things from your ivory tower, you cannot expect other people, no matter how advanced they think they are, to share the authenticity of your perception. And that is why you're so very unique. That is why you're so very powerful. For example, not even the greatest gurus, not even the greatest and most advanced spiritualists of this present era, who you share the same timeline with, can even reach your little finger. They're like totally in the dark compared to you, and you actually think that is the other way around. Like, why do they have that massive success and they are not even speaking from a place of total authenticity, and you do the same thing and you're nowhere? And this is actually a representation that you are so advanced that there's no comparison. They're totally in the dark compared to you. Just that because there's no one to tell you this, how can you dare to believe this to be true about yourself? Because this takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of guts to believe in this. And it doesn't matter that your reality has 10 billion proofs of this, feedback from other people, the most positive praises where you changed the lives of people, you saved them. You saved a lot of people from suicide, for example, just by sharing your unique perspective, just by your inspiration that you provide in the lives of others. Many times you're not even aware of this, that every small gesture of yours is like an infusion of belief and faith into another person, and you heal them, nurture them, save them. So of course, if you do not see yourself very objectively, you do not know how special you are, but this explains why you don't have your dreams already in your life. This explains why you cannot connect with anyone truly. And yes, absolutely, you have a lot of connections from your previous lives, but unfortunately, that is just to show how unhealthy very strong bonds and connections are, because if death doesn't separate you from a person, then nothing will, nothing ever will. So if anything, this is just like a warning sign telling you, learn from your old mistakes, and not from the mistakes of this life, from the mistakes of previous existences, where if you have such very powerful soul connections between you and other souls that they come after you in different timelines and different lives, Well, that means that you have to minimalize this because they limit you basically. It means that those souls are dependent of you and they kind of follow you because they need you. But this lifetime, this very lonely, this very, cold, hard, not loving, not passionate, not compassionate lifetime where you are infinitely compassionate and loving to others, but you never get this back in return, is actually a blessing because you are so unique that you only have a handful of souls who you can connect with. 2-3 souls out of the billions of people living on the planet, and that's it. That's all that you can have in your life, and you have to accept it. And especially that not having them is a blessing, because this is how you break all the karmic, cycles that you have inherited from your previous existences, where you have to be free. You have to breathe in at least one existence. You cannot have other people leeching your soul out of you. And this is exactly the message of the Justice card in opportunity position, because this solitude, this loneliness, this not having anyone in your life, as in you may have 10 billion people intellectually, but on a soul level, especially regarding love, who loves you deeply, does anyone know you at all in your life? I don't think anyone knows you. I don't think even your parents know who you truly are. Your best friends, anyone doesn't really know who you are deep down inside of your heart, because everyone sees just your talent, they see just your compassion, your attitude, the role that you have to play in this life, but no one knows you deep down inside. No one knows what makes you sad, what makes you happy, what makes you laugh, your sense of humor. It's always you adapting to other people, and the other way around is impossible for them because of that huge gap of, level of frequency that you operate on. So this is actually natural and not unnatural, and it is due to you embodying yourself 100%. The more you embody of who you are, the less connections you're gonna have in your life. And even though as a human being it is frightening, it is sad, it is lonely, your waking life can be like a big melancholy because of this. But karmically, spiritually, this is actually the healthy way. This is what your soul needs to regenerate. And at the end of the day, melancholy and certain type of sacred sadness is food for the soul. It is food for artists. It is food for poets and writers and musicians and all of this. So it isn't anything negative. And this is exactly the opportunity, because if you're an alchemist, then everything that you don't have in your life, especially the deep soul connections, are your resources, is the power that you possess to transmute them into everything that you need. So use this opportunity to balance your life out, as in justice, the scales of justice. It is actually balance, where you can free your heart from everything that weighs it down by knowing that it's not your fault. It doesn't matter how you would have chosen in this life. It will still have led you to the same outcome, because it is just your frequency. It is just your level of genius that sets you apart energetically from others. And it's actually fine this way, because this is what you came here to do. You're the alien, you're the outsider, you're the maverick. It's fine that way, because that is who you are right now. And you lived a lot of lives where you weren't this, where you were just one of the group, where you were a team player who supported others, and you lived that through. You don't need that experience ever again. You need this experience. It is uncomfortable, it is unnatural to you, because many times you're the leader, even with you hating this role, but it is what it is. and it's actually towards your greatest advantage. So don't have any fear in your heart. Don't have any worry. You don't need anyone, really, because the invisible world, everything that is beyond the veil, regardless of polarity, is your ally. You are so special and unique that even the energies beyond the veil don't polarize themselves in relations to you. You are not part of any conflict. You are actually the middle path. So everything beyond the veil needs you to embody neutrality, to get away from their conflict, from their drama. So you are a massive help to the divine just for the sheer sake of you existing. You don't even need to lift a finger, you just need to stay alive, and that's your mission, because you are so advanced and your soul always connects to something cosmic, something which is way beyond this reality. So that is basically what you have to do. And it's fine and beautiful, so just fall in love with it. Fall in love with yourself, with your story, with your unique position, and that is all you need for happiness. Now the resolution is the Six of Air, and it means that just because you are alone and lonely and scared and unhappy and vulnerable and with a lot of emotional needs right now, this doesn't really mean anything. This doesn't mean that your whole life is gonna be like this. But as I said above, there is only a handful of souls that you can connect with in this reality, in this lifetime, in this world, and that needs, circumstances to come together, because all of those people are doing the same thing as you are, so they're just as lonely, they're just as scared. Some of them might be obsessed with their mission, some of them have other dramas, some of them have so very many unhealthy patterns in their lives, just like you. So you can only connect once everyone is ready, so that you don't poison your own minds and hearts and beings reciprocally, because this should be about like simple friendship and nothing else. Just the joy of having someone loving you unconditionally for no reason, not human reason, not material reason, not spiritual reason, not divine reason, no reason at all. Just to have someone in your life who just loves you, and that's it. And this can be perfectly mutual. Now, for this to happen, all those people who you have to connect with have to reach their freedom as well. So they're doing the same thing as you are. They're processing very many dramas of their own, because some of them are obsessed with this, being alone, for example, just like you are. Others are obsessed by doing their mission. Others are obsessed with knowledge. Others are obsessed with power. So everyone has their own dramas and insecurities, and after you work through them, the Six of Air, the resolution, is telling you, how will you know that that person is meant for you? Well, it's very simple. It's not going to be intuitive. It's not going to be anything. What will show you that that person is an old soul just like you is their deep gratitude. When you're going to meet a person in this life who is all about gratitude, who doesn't care about any needs and desires and wants, but is simply grateful for existence itself, who is just so light-hearted, so easy and non-conformistic to get along with, so gentle like honey, then you know that you met your match. Then you know when that other being's honey, basically, is going to touch your consciousness and make you feel like you can forget your human self, where you can just be your divine self. Well, when a person is going to have this effect on you, that's how you're gonna know that you met them. And when two gratitudes, two light-hearted ways of existing in matter meet, well, that is going to create something so beautiful that even the universe will shed a tear of joy at the sight of the birth of that true and authentic, deeply spiritual relationship, alliance, friendship, soul connection, whatever it's going to be. It's going to delight the universe in its total eternity, and the delight is going to come from the fact that it's not your goal, it's not your mission, it's not your needs that connect you, but the sheer magnetism of love. And that is already a divine miracle. And the universe is so looking forward to that moment, believe it or not, much more than you and those other people. But just know that there is no way of telling when this is going to take place. And why? Well, because the universe is just idealistic as you are, and it will want this moment to be perfect. It won't even allow one thought of doubt. It won't even wish one element of insecurity, one judgment, one bias, one dogmatic belief to get in the way of the divine miracle, when two innocent and pure divine souls just see the divinity within each other for the first time in this lifetime. That is a moment so special that when it takes place, the whole world has to stop for a second and just reverberate, echo from the happiness, from the joy. So that miraculous moment has to be perfect, and that is why this waiting game is so oppressive and so, torturous. But hold on to hope. It is coming, but until it comes, you need to look at why your life is so lonely and solitary on a soul level, psychologically. Well, because you are who you are. And if this isn't a valid reflection of your divinity, well, I don't know what is, because other people who attempted this are locked in the psychiatric ward, and the fact that you are functioning as a divine being within society is already a massive message that you are definitely on the right path. Well, thank you so much for listening. Wish everyone a safe and blessed day. Bye for now.